Okay, welcome everyone. It's Tara here from the American Boards, and today I'm talking to Nikhil Rughani from Steel Lotus in Sydney, Australia. So Nikhil is presenting our next webinar, The Client Pizza, Trust, Flow and the Written Word. The webinar will be held on the 24th of July, 10 a.m. Sydney time. So Nikhil, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, really stoked to be here, Tara.
Great. So you've had a fascinating journey blending neuroscience, martial arts, NLP, and Vedic wisdom into your performance coaching practice. So can you
Mm.
start by telling us a little about what Steel Lotus represents and how this approach came to life?
Yeah, so Steel Lotus is it's a bit of a metaphor of how I like to approach my life, I guess is the way. And it's like with the resilience of steel, but with the gentle compassion and the spiritual approach of the lotus. So I thought, why not blend the two of them together? And it's got a bit of a hard, soft thing. So a lot of people think it's probably a heavy metal band like Iron Maiden or Guns N' Roses, but it's not that. No.
No, no band on the side.
No, the band's kind of done thing. No, it's just it's all about performance now, and I think steel, the strength of steel, about when you're going out there and you're building your business and you need that resilience there, but also we need to look at the fact that we're still human, and compassion goes a long way. So does that, that inner ability to be able to face yourself and to be able to deal with your own stuff as well. And I think that's the way that the world is really going at the moment.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, that's a beautiful story to the start of a very successful business. So you've helped so many businesses generate millions in their marketing pipeline. So
Mm.
what's the one pattern or mindset shift that you've seen high achieving business owners need to make to unlock that next level for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tara. So the one thing that I've found that everyone needs to shift is they tend to be charging way too low. And part of my process has always been let's show them, let's articulate your message so we can help to demonstrate your value and let's show you exactly what problem you are solving. And when I get them present to that, they realize that, wow, I shouldn't be charging a couple of $100 or a couple of $1,000. What I'm offering someone is beyond just a simple breakthrough, or it's not, it's just, just another session. It's actually really making an impact in their business, their life, their relationships, whatever it may be. And that in itself, when they get present to the value that they're bringing, they realize they're worth a lot more.
Great. Okay. And that must be a very, empowering way to work, right? To empower people to, grow not only their self, but their businesses to that next level at the same time.
It's very satisfying to watch it happen. And when people have those light bulbs go off, it's just like, yeah, you worked magic when you see these aha moments. Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome, great. Okay, so your upcoming webinar now is
Mm,
titled The Client Pizza, Building Deep Trust Using the Written Word. So
mm.
first off, I have to ask, what exactly is the client pizza? I mean, it sounds yummy, but
Yeah, it does sound pretty yummy. And one caveat I say to people is, look, by the end of this webinar, the idea is not to go out there and bite on your ideal client. But what it is, look, the client pizza, I call it, it's like a metaphor. The Think of it like everyone loves pizza, and if you don't love pizza, there's something seriously wrong with you, right? But I'm a bit of a fan of mushroom pizza, and I know that there's a couple of ways I could do it. I could go to Domino's, and I could buy a thing that looks like a piece of cardboard with 3-day-old mozzarella cheese and a sprinkling of mushrooms on it. 10 minutes later, I give them $10, and I've got this thing I could somehow eat, right? Or I could do it myself, make it myself. I like my crust nice and thick and gluten free because I'm gluten intolerant, but also I like all the mushrooms. Don't just give me a sprinkling. Throw the whole farm on there. Give me the shiitake, the enoki, give me the Swiss brown, all of them. Um, and then what I like to do is like top it with like some Kalamata olives because they're nice and they're juicy. And then the green capsicum or the bell peppers, as they call them in North America. And rather than chunks, I like them sliced in rings. And then I top it with coconut-based mozzarella cheese, just because it's got a different texture and because I don't like the inflammatory nature of dairy. So pop that in the oven, 10 minutes later or 20 minutes later, it comes out and it's exactly the pizza I want, the way I want it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got a base there, I've got toppings on there, and it's really the metaphor for your client itself. You can go out there and just try and get any old client you want, and you'll get any old client with, you'll get any old results. Or you can design the client the way you want. And the pizza metaphor is basically like that. You've got a demographic, which is kind of boring, but it's necessary to hold, everything else in place. And then you've got the mindset of the client. And that's the topping. That's the exciting stuff. And so the client pizza process teaches you to get into the mind of the client and understand them in such a way that you almost know them better than they know themselves. In the same way that, I guess, when you're sitting around having a cup of coffee with your best friend and he's about to crack a joke and he's got this funny smile on the face, he's about to crack a joke. Or when, your kid comes to you and they've got this look in their eyes and it's like, okay, how much money do you want? It's that type of thing. We can do that with the people we love. We can do that with our friends. But how many of us can actually do that with our clients? So the whole
Mm-hmm.
client pizza process is laid in two parts. There's a demographic, there's a mindset, and the idea is that you're creating and designing the client the way that you would like to work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to work with kids or you don't want to work with pet shop owners, then you don't have to. You get to design your clients. It is your business. And so this process empowers you to not only create the client, but also to understand them and get inside the head of the problems that they're facing. And that in itself, that deep understanding allows you to connect with them at a much deeper level.
Sure. Okay. So something that I find with a lot of people joining the boards when they're first on their training is they're like, well, at this point in time, I just want clients. I,
Mm.
might not really want to, I don't really mind,
Mm.
who I work with. What advice and what would you say to those people who are having those feelings when they're first starting out?
Look, that's all well and good. That's all well and good. What will happen when you approach the client and they say, well, why should I hire you? Or what are you going to do for me? And this is what I found, whether you're a therapist, whether you're a coach, and even if you're a trainer, when I ask you, what do you do? They'll go on this massive tirade about transformation and switch patterns and deep trance and all that. And the client's left saying, huh? What? And that's basically what you're going to find. You just want any client, but any client just doesn't want any therapist. They want someone who understands them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the big differentiator. So if you're going to go into the market and you're going to go and talk to people about, I'm going to take you on your timeline on this massive journey that half the people don't even know what a timeline is. No one knows what a switch pattern is, let alone what deep trance is, right? So you've got to be able to talk their language. So if you do want any client, chances are you're going to get that type of response. But if you know how to talk to your client and you know how to design your client, then you're not going to be able to talk to them in their language. We're talking about rapport. We're talking about getting into their model of the world. That's basically what we're doing here.
Sure. Okay.
Mm.
Good. So, speaking about rapport, in the
Mm.
NLP world, we talk a lot about rapport in real-time conversations. And
Mm.
what is some of the biggest mistakes that coaches and trainers make when they're trying to build rapport in writing, such as through copy?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question, Tara. So here's what people tend to do. They make a mistake by writing about what they're trying to sell and what they've got to offer. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, your client cares about whether you can solve their problem. So first of all, you need to demonstrate that you can understand them very much in the same way that you can show someone that you would like them. In the written word, you show them that you understand them and they automatically have a level of trust to you, right, towards you. What ends up happening is their resistance goes down and
Hmm.
their trust goes up. Whereas most people are saying, come and buy my stuff, click here, fill out my 27-step funnel of doom, and then pay me $1 bajillion and I'll solve your problem. But they don't really, people don't work that way. People want to know that you can solve the problem. Now, here's the thing. They don't care whether it's hypnosis, NLP. They don't care if you're in the Amazon rainforest doing a dance for them. At the end of the day, they just care that their problem is solved. But first, they want you to understand, well, they want to understand that you understand their problem. So that's the first thing that I would suggest anyone does in the written form is demonstrate to your reader that you understand them and their problem. Because when you can articulate the problem better than they can, they automatically attribute you as being the person who can solve that problem. And that's how
Sure.
you actually build that rapport.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay, so to follow on from that, once we've narrowed it down and we're writing copy to really narrowed down onto those people that we want as clients.
Mm.
So how is there a way with the copy to focus that in a way that brings you more clients, students, depending on whether you're a trainer or a coach, who are ready to take action, who are ready and willing to make the change on their problem? Because a lot of people might be
Mm.
aware of what their problem is, but they might not be ready to take the action on it.
Yeah, yeah. Look, that's great. That's a good question again. You're asking good ones today, Tara. That's really good. Um, See, here's the thing. The way you've got to look at it is that everyone's ready to take some sort of action. But what they want to do is they want to take action which is the least resistant, the least risky form of action. So I equate it to like when you go out on a date, you don't propose marriage on the first date.
Mhm.
And if you do and the person accepts, just run the other direction, right?
Yeah.
Um, but here's the thing, you don't do that. It's about taking it step at a time. It's about getting to know them. Maybe you start off with a coffee. Coffee's not threatening. Then from a coffee, maybe you go out to a movie. A movie's not threatening. Then from the movie, maybe you decide that you're going to go to a nice fancy restaurant, but it's gradual. And the same happens with your copy. You just need to get their buy-in step at a time. Okay. So if you want people to take action, it's about gently building that trust, gently building that relationship. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be done quickly, but it does need to be done with intention of taking them just one step at a time. And when you do it one step at a time, then the risk is reduced. And as that risk is reduced, people are more likely to take that next step. So,
Sure.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be a 50-step funnel of doom. It could literally be 3 or 4 steps, right? It could just be 3 or 4 steps. It might be you just talk to them, tell them that you understand them. Maybe you get them on a phone call and brainstorm some ideas. Maybe it's about inviting them along to a free webinar after that. And maybe after that, it's inviting them into a small paid program, which is not too much of a risk. It could be that way. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great.
Mm.
So I know that you blend the Vedic wisdom and energy work into your coaching. So
Mm.
how does that translate into the way someone communicates or markets their work?
Yeah. Okay. So the Vedic wisdom, I guess, look, we've all studied NLP or we've studied hypnotherapy. So we understand that this is happening outside of the boundaries of normative science. And in the same way, Vedic wisdom is outside of normative history. Um, we're talking a culture that's been around for about 16 to 20,000 years. And so they've got some insights and they've got some understandings and some science that's only just coming to light right now, which is really amazing. So what I've done is actually I've taken the principles of Vedic and also tantric wisdom as well, and I've actually made them more accessible. And I've taken them out of their traditional Sanskrit and put them into English, right? And the idea is that when you can be present, and this is the main thing, when you can be present to what's happening in your life, when you can be present on a day-to-day basis, moment-to-moment basis, experiencing at every sensory moment what's going on, then you are more in tune with the actual energy of the situation. You are more in tune with what's happening inside of you, outside of you, but also while that other person is there too. And so this can be seen as a way to develop your intuition. It can be seen as a way to develop your, I guess, another level of sensory acuity.
Mhm.
It's a way to really connect with that person at another level, not just a linguistic level, not just a mental or emotional level, but at another level. Let's call it the energetic level.
Mm.
So when things happen at that energetic level, it tends to permeate through all the other different levels, through the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And when you communicate from that energetic level, again, it's just a deeper understanding. It's a more complete level of communication that you're actually facilitating at that point. The trust deepens. There's a level of connection which can't be articulated by most people. They just feel comfortable. They feel happy. And it's like rapport at, 10x. That's kind of how I describe it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing skill to have as a coach or trainer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I like to think so.
Clearly, it served you well.
It's worked well for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what practice, physical, mental, or spiritual, that
Mm.
you personally return to regularly has helped you stay grounded while performing at a high level?
For me personally, journaling has been the thing. And you might say, hey, Nikhil, you're a writer. Like, that's just so, so biased. But here's the thing, I'm also very AD. So for me, journaling is fantastic. And if you're looking at for everyone else, journaling may not be your thing. If you're a kinesthetic person, maybe it's going out for a walk. If you're a visual person, maybe it is creative visualization. And if you're, any other modality, if you're olfactory or gustatory, then, you'd pick the right one for you as well, right?
Yeah,
So for me personally, journaling has worked just magnificently well. And I do it. It's a practice I do every morning. I pick up my pen, I write for about 20 minutes. And it just allows me to empty my brain. It allows me just to really empty any overwhelm because I have a habit, like most AD people, we tend to get quite overwhelmed, right? So
right.
it brings me back into my body. It centers me, it grounds me, and it allows me to act from my kinesthetic being, not just my AD. And I think that's been a very powerful tool for me. And the beauty of journaling is that it can be spiritual, it can be emotional, it can be mental, and it's very much a physical. And I like the way that Julia Cameron actually describes it in her book, The Artist Way. She says, when you're journaling, writing is the acting part of thinking. So for me, it works really well. Yeah.
Great.
So
All right.
yeah, that's how I like it.
Yeah, exactly. No, that works well for you, so that's good. For our audience of NLP and hypnotherapy coaches, what's one shift that they can make today to improve how they write or communicate with potential clients?
Don't make it about you, is what I'd say. When you're writing, always be in the shoes of your audience, of your reader. And think of it this way, pick one person. And the reason I say one person is that when you're writing, it doesn't matter what you're writing, whether you're writing copy, marketing material, whether you're writing poetry, you always write it with your muse in mind, right?
Mhm.
And if you think about the poets of ancient days, like even, as more recent as like let's say the Romance period where you've got John Keats where he writes about a Greek pot which is cracked, and yet he writes about this. His muse is that Greek pot. He's writing his poetry to that Greek pot, and yet around the world, millions, if not billions, of people have read his poetry, and they've all been inspired and touched by it. But that's because they're connecting with one person, and when you connect with one person, everyone else tends to feel that. But when you try and connect with too many people, your message gets diluted. So my suggestion is don't make it about you. Make it about the one person that would be the perfect person that you would like to have as your client and make it
Yeah,
about
great.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing way to do it. And using that, the vase and that metaphor and that story, that's a great way to think about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Make it your muse. Make the
yeah,
person your muse. Yeah.
yeah. Client muse.
Client muse. Yeah. There we go. There's a
Okay.
program in
And
there.
and finally today, so what can attendees expect to walk away with from your upcoming webinar on July 24th?
Yeah. Great. Look, I'm glad you asked that question. So this is going to be a very much a hands-on interactive webinar. It's not going to be like a TV show. Don't expect to come along with popcorn and just think, okay, that was nice. I want you to bring pen, I want you to bring paper, and I'm going to walk you through the process of actually the client pizza itself. And this is where we're going to give you a breakthrough in how to articulate your value, right? By connecting with your client's values, right? And when you walk away from this, you'll be able to demonstrate your expertise, articulate your value in such a powerful way that I'm sure if you put it on social media, like whether you did a post or whether you put it on YouTube or whether you put it on, an Instagram reel, you're going to get people that will connect with you.
Mhm.
If nothing else, if nothing else, you will walk away with more confidence in your ability to be able to connect with your ideal client and talk to them in their language. And that's like going to Japan and talking to someone in Japanese as opposed to going to Japan and talking to someone in English or Italian, right? You're actually going to be in a position where you both understand each other. And that's just going to make your services seem that much more valuable.
Great. Well, I'm really happy that you're on board to come and join us for the next webinar and deliver so much value to our board members. And I'd encourage them all to come along. There is a registration link that's gone out via the emails and on our social media channels. So register to come along to Nikhil's webinar and obtain all that value. And thanks, Nikhil, for talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Tara. Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing everyone there.